everyone. Welcome to another Coffee and Contemplation brought to you by Spotlight Recovery. It is May 13th. We've got a cute little story here on and the topic of bringing your ideals to life. It's definitely a little dated. It's got a bit of a dated example in it, but I don't know. I thought it was kind of funny, so wanted to throw it in there, just spark some chat and everything. So yeah, let's get into this. May 13th, good old lucky 13. Bring your ideals to life. There is a Zen story about two monks walking down a street after a heavy rain. Arriving at a corner, they came upon a beautiful girl in fine clothing, unable to cross the muddy street without getting filthy. "Here, I'll help you," said one monk. Lifting her in his arms, he carried her to the other side. The two monks walked in silence for a long time. "We've sworn a vow of celibacy and are not supposed to go near women. It's dangerous," the second monk said to the first. "Why did you do that?" "I left the girl back at the corner," the first monk said. "Are you still carrying her?" Sometimes we may find ourselves in a situation where our ideals conflict. Being kind and loving to another person may conflict with our value of being committed and loving towards ourselves. When one ideal imposes on another, then use your judgment. Do the right thing by others. Do the right thing by yourself, too. Then let the incident pass and move on. For the monks in our story, right action usually meant not having contact with women. However, when encountering a stranded person on the road, right action became helping others. Ideals remain. Right thought, right action, right speech, but the path to those ideals may twist and turn throughout life. Be sensitive and aware that you are following an ideal and not a rigid belief. God, help me learn when it's time to let go. This inspiration is from More Language of Letting Go, 366 New Daily Meditations. Oh man, yeah, it's just funny. That's all. Nothing too massive here. I think it's just a funny story. I love that. It's dangerous. Kills me every time. I think that's so damn funny. Oh my god. But yeah, it's a cute little story still. The last line, the one monk to the other, that's just mic drop right there. "I left the girl back at the corner. Are you still carrying her?" Oh my god. Oh, that is so good. Gosh, just talk about living in the past. Talk about resentment. Talk about not letting go. Talk about not expressing your morals or values or your real opinions at the moment. That's so good. That stands out for me a lot, especially when, like he says, they're walking for a long time before they say anything else, and then the one finally pipes up about it after he's been chewing on it for a while and just can't take it anymore and has to say something, so that just really cracks me up, and it just that, and because 12 steps recovery, they're very typically 12 steps, a spiritual program, not a religious one, as your reminder, and recovery typically has some form of a spiritual practice and base to it, and that's a really big thing, a big part of it, and so it's really funny how I'll hear people share in meetings or talk with me all the time in sessions just about I'm always striving to strive to be like a monk or something, and use that as a spiritual ideal or something. And I always think it's so funny. It's just well, yeah, okay, sure. If you didn't have to work and pay taxes and lived isolated from the rest of society and were celibate and didn't have relationships and didn't have other family, remove all of these things and then tell me how much easier it would be to be quote unquote spiritual. Come on now. So it's such a total not applicable comparison, first of all, and I think that's really funny, and then same what they talk about so much here on living a spiritual life as being involved and part of a community and giving and connecting and all of that stuff. So then there's a whole other discussion you can have about it personally, where I think it's kind of funny and a little ridiculous. But and also, so there's just that. And then, of course, this, and just the assumption that therefore everybody is straight, and this whole thing, it's funny. So anyway, I'm just going to move on from that stuff. I don't want to chew on it too much. But I just like the example. And then, yeah, these two paragraphs I think are really well written, and I like them and is how they talk about in this situation on as it compares about the ideals versus the rigid belief. And I really like that breakdown and comparison because I think that's important. So, like this example aside, I think we all have been in a situation like this before where it talks about here in this opening paragraph after the story. Sometimes we may find ourselves in a situation where our ideals conflict. When one ideal imposes on another, use your judgment. Do the right thing by others, do the right thing by yourself. Then let the incident pass and move on. So I think it depends on who's hearing this and what better speaks to you. For me personally, with these lines, I would say do the right thing by yourself first, then do the right thing by others. And I say this because I'm a textbook people pleaser. And that people pleasing, the old codependency, that's something that I'll always have to work on. And so that's an easy one for me to fall back on, is doing the right thing by others. And then no matter what or how that affects me. And that's actually old addict behavior for me. That's dangerous for me. That's not a safe place for a lot of addicts to go, because a lot of us really relate to this codependency piece. So do the right thing by you. If you're in this ideal conflict and it's something over your values, well, stick with your values first. Like if you're not going to be causing harm to somebody else, just having that mentality. It's a good reminder for me. So for me, all the other codependents out there, I'm talking to all of us right now on that one. But so just these gentle reminders are really nice. Just use your judgment. Try to do the right things by you and whoever else is in the situation as best you can. Then let the incident pass and move on. And that's a good reminder there too, of just like, if it's a situation that's out of your control, right? We bring in some serenity prayer here now. If it's something that's out of your control, then you stick with your ideals. You try to respect the ideals of others around you the most that you can, and then you move on from the situation, right? And that was the other I was going to say too. So that's, for me, the codependence is the do the right thing by you too. And then of course we have the other side for all the people that definitely have really dealt with those forms of selfishness, self-centeredness, are used to putting yourself first and caring less about others. Well, then maybe give doing the right thing by others a try first, a shot. Maybe then you incorporate that into your recovery behavior a little bit more as a way to kind of adjust and learn and grow and everything. So just wanted to throw that one out there too. But for whoever's listening, you'll know best based on your personality. Find which approach works for you. If you're unsure, talk to your sponsor, therapist, support system, whoever that may be, friends. Bounce it off others and get some guidance and feedback around that. But regardless, let the incident pass and move on. If it's a situation out of your control, you do that best thing you can. You have to let that go because the situation was not in your control. Don't add it to the pile you're just dragging around every day. Really like that reminder. So then they talk about it in this example here. And so I like the breakdown of it. I'm going to leave the specifics, details out just because I find they dilute the message. Like, so for this story, right action usually meant one thing. However, when encountering this situation, right action became helping another person. Ideals remain. I really like that they follow that up. That was so good. Right action, right thought, right speech, but the path to those ideals may twist and turn throughout life. Again, life on life's terms, out of our control. Be sensitive and aware that you are following an ideal and not a rigid belief. Oof, that's what that reminds me of too. A last thing that I want to stress here, because I definitely could work on this as well. For all us 12-steppers out there, it has become quite full with a lot of rigid belief. It really has. And there's so many common things and these new social stigmas that we've created in 12-step. that are not what the original literature says, that are not what the program is about, but then just become these rigid beliefs. Or even still then, like, yes, the program works, and it's like almost 90 years old at this point, so maybe questioning it is a good thing. Like, there's always that old adage of, oh, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's like, okay, well then you're just completely disregarding innovation. You're leaving no space for innovation at all, right? It's like, if it ain't broke, but it could be better, then let's work on improving that. Like, hello, little progress here maybe be appreciated. So anyway, that reminder, follow an ideal, not a rigid belief, is really, really good. And I would love to see that change and growth happening in more 12-step and self-help communities. Just because it's going to make them more inclusive for people, more approachable, safer, and frankly just work better, because we're all just still learning and discovering what are these paths for us, what's going to help us grow and change and all of that. Like, that's all. That's what I think. I really liked that reminder and that line there to finish off these main paragraphs with. And then of course, God help me learn when it's time to let go. So there we go. I will just mention this is a portion of this reflection. So I'd read this is the whole reflection piece. It also has an action piece to it. If you want some more direction on this, I left it out just because it would just be too much for one of these episodes. But it's definitely something worth checking out. Like I said, it's from More Language of Letting Go, 366 New Daily Meditations. So get yourself a copy of that book if you want to check out and do the action piece behind it, kind of giving you some more homework on how to be going through this stuff. So anyway, just wanted to mention that. And there we go. I'm going to wrap up today's episode. I thought we got some good points out of that. Hilarious little story. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Thanks for checking it out today. If you can, please in the comments, let us know what stood out for you. What helps you let go? What helps you make these decisions on which right action to take for when it's conflicting in a certain situation? Would love to hear things that work for you. So please throw those down in the comments. And whatever platform you're on, there we go. Like, share, subscribe, all these things really help us grow and help support the show so we can carry more of the message. And check out the description, because you can get a lot more out of this podcast and from our organization. Please see everything down there on other ways that Spotlight Recovery can support you and ways that you can support Spotlight Recovery. Okay, so check all those out. Thanks again for listening today. Wishing you a blessed 24, able to live in your ideals the best you can. And we'll see you again tomorrow.